food. Good morning. Welcome to the Huddle. It turns out that Wisconsin Democrats like Thanksgiving as much as all of us. Socialist Francesca Hong, who wanted to cancel Thanksgiving, famously, or rather infamously.
Got canceled.
Yeah, she got canceled. Good way.
Can I ask a question, though? I don't understand this. So apparently no one can count an election except when it comes to, it's razor thin, and there's no question that she lost. It just seems odd to me that every other election of consequence takes forever, and we got to wait for the mail-in vote, and then for people with three fingers that thought Tuesday when they ordered pizza and mailed in, but yet we can be super certain that she lost.
Well, Sean,
you sound like a conspiracy theorist.
I was going to say, Sean, Democrats don't believe in conspiracy theories like Republicans do.
Did you see the whole dump last night?
And then, Sean, every state does it their way. I know you guys.
And Milwaukee is, here's the point, Dan. Oh my God. They're not good at it. And they notoriously dump late, and they had a whole bunch of issues.
Well, I did see online, let me make sure I have this right, the Italian military, Venezuela, Maduro from prison, was doing it to us again, Sean. I hate it when those foreign military interferes, and maybe Mike Lindell, who will not concede, speaking of conspiracy
different
theory.
We'll get to him for sure.
Different state. Different state.
Mike Lindell saying Maduro perhaps is the reason why he lost.
I mean, from prison, he's still rigging our elections. It's I thought Trump got him.
It is amazing.
Well, listen, I saw Law and Order 2 nights ago. I think it was the SVU one. And there was a hit put out by a guy who was in prison, but connected with a former detective whose daughter. I mean, so it's
maybe Janine Pirro can prosecute. I look forward to seeing her in court once again.
Bringing it back to the election.
Yes.
It wasn't all doom and gloom for progressives. Let's see. Longtime Democratic incumbent John Larson.
We kept saying you gotta watch it. Yep.
Defeated by a younger progressive. Peggy Flanagan won in Minnesota. Also big progressive, yeah. And also on the docket today, we're going to talk about, we'll talk about the Republican side of this, of course. Mike Lindell, what happened in South Carolina. Go through a bunch of takeaways on that. We're also going to talk about Newsom's rough 2026. We've talked a little bit about it on the show. The latest bit on this piece of data is his recent trip to Michigan, where apparently he snubbed some people that you just don't snub.
I will say this. Adam Wren is an unbelievable reporter. He might be one of the best there is. I don't believe that story happened organically. Somebody
Adam's great.
was ready to provide that story, and he took it as he should and did his own, additional research. But we'll get to this.
We're also going to talk about Bibi rejecting Trump's Gaza plan and Paramount looking to potentially leave California because of all the antitrust issues they are running into with their merger. Before we jump into the daybook, just flag apologies if my voice sounds like 10 octaves lower than normal. I have a cold, and I will try to remember to silence my mic when I sneeze and blow my nose. So, okay, let's look at the daybook here. 83 days till Election Day, 8:30, the Bureau of Labor Statistics.
Yeah, I'm just looking this up. I was talking to you guys. Let me see what the number was here. So,
yeah. Well, when you pull that up, so economists expected consumer price index would rise 0.2%.
Yeah, it rose 0.1%, which is what they expected. The annual rate is 3.4.
Mm-hmm.
That's great.
There you go.
It's less bad than feared, but not good.
Well, wait, how does 0.1? 0.1, you can't. You got to be kidding me. Like
they were expecting 0.2.
Well, no, they were expecting 0.1 and 0.2 in the core CPI, which includes energy.
And that's what they got. Yeah, excluding food and energy. Let's see. They thought it would be 2.5. Yeah, I need more stuff here, but they're just saying, yeah. I mean, look, 3.4. The target is 2. The problem is now, if you're the Fed, you have you have inflation is not coming down, and the labor market appears to be slowing. This is the huge fear they've had for the last 4 years, which is you have to pick a lane. You're either going to have to focus on trying to get the labor market going again and take inflation, or you have to do everything you can to get inflation from back down, and you're going to squeeze the labor market. Oh, Kevin Warsh may not have wanted this job.
Yeah.
Well, I think Kevin Warsh's honeymoon is over, by the way.
Yes, I think that's safe to say.
He is
10:30.
The president the other day walked away from this notion that they're talking quite often. So he was like, I talked to him once. I think Kevin Warsh is going to have the next few months are going to be very, very difficult on him.
Yep.
10:30, the president participates in greeting with law enforcement and military service members. 11 o'clock, policy meeting. Same thing at
a lot of policy today.
Yep. 2:30 is signing time. 4 o'clock, more policy meetings, and same at 5. Obviously, lawmakers are out on recess and out campaigning. Okay, before we jump in, though, just a quick word about OneSkin. I mentioned this yesterday, but it is important. 80% of visible skin aging.
Sean's ready to go.
Fine lines. There is. He's got the props there. They start with sun exposure. That means you need to be wearing sunscreen every day, every single day. The tricky part, of course, is probably that you don't want to smell like banana boat in the office. People might think you're at the pool, at the beach. Maybe you didn't shower. You don't want that smell, right? So that's why you should check out OneSkin's sunblock moisturizer. It's got a neutral smell. You're not gonna smell it on your skin, right? It feels great on the skin, and best of all, it protects from the sun while moisturizing your face. Sean, are you putting on the sunblock right now?
This is the body lotion. This is
I have the body lotion too, and the face. You can get it for your face.
Yeah, I mean, it's light. There's nothing like I can't stand. I have to wear sunscreen every day because that's how God made me. And I hate when it's heavy and caked on. This OneSkin stuff goes on super light. There's no, as you point, it's fragrance free, regardless of whether you want. I mean, I love this stuff, but you can get the body stuff is great. And then obviously the face, you got to get that in there. All of it has that OS1 peptide though.
Yep, it's great. And just a reminder that the founding team of this company, this is one of the things I love most about this company, they are longevity researchers. They're scientists, and they built their signature peptide. What is it? OS1. Yes. OS1. Okay, which attacks those, what do they call them? Zombie cells. Zombie cells that lead to the fine lines and wrinkles. Like, there's actually science behind this. What more could you ask for in your skincare regime? So for a little bit limited time, you can try OneSkin with 15% off using our code HUDDLE at oneskin.co, not com/huddle, oneskin.co/huddle. You'll get 15% off. And then after you're done, maybe you need to go sort of budget what you just spent on your skincare, right? You need to go check out your Monarch account and categorize it, Sean.
Honestly, you got to check this thing out. Go to monarch.com. If you are somebody who's like, for us, it makes like total sense. Like we each have a small business. We've got our in terms of like our finances. But I'm telling you, if you're a married couple, if you're single, you're trying to figure out how to save, where my money's going. The cool thing about Monarch is it solves like 100 problems at once. It's literally like having an AI budget agent in your pocket, because no matter what you're doing, if it's just, I want to get my finances in order, I want to know where I'm spending my money, I want to budget for something, it solves like every problem. And here's the cool thing. Once you set it up, it pulls in all the information from, your checking account, your credit cards, your 401k. So it tells you how much you're saving. It sees the whole picture, and it's giving you a plan forward, no matter what it is. So if you set the goal, like, hey, I want to go on a trip, I need to buy a TV, I want to save some for my kid for college, whatever it is, it actually works with you. The cool thing, like I said, so once you plug it all in, it's like one of those big, like when they look at the astronauts and they've got 18 screens, like Monarch has got your life all plugged out for whether it's just getting your budget in order, making your life less chaotic. It's super simple. Go to monarch.com, use our code HUDDLE. You get $50 off. Like it's I love just playing around with it because it's fun, but it also organizes your life, sets you forward, gives you a clear picture of where you are. So I'm telling you, you will thank us and thank yourself if you go to monarch.com and check it out.
Awesome. Thanks to Monarch. Thanks to OneSkin. All right, we're going to do some Tuesday takeaways. Let's start with the Dem side. So the left finally reached its limit. The Wisconsin gubernatorial primary, Democratic Socialist Francesca Hong lost to establishment-backed opponent David Crowley. This was a kind of surprise. I mean, a lot of people thought this was kind of a done deal,
But
right?
can I just say this?
No. We said the last few days that's
I know guys, because you guys are ahead of the curve. But a lot.
But I think we said two things that are really. But Dan and I each said something that was super true. Number one, I said this on the heels of Michigan, even before Michigan. Polling in primaries is crap. Public polling in primaries is really crap.
Yep.
It's not tough. It sucks. And that's it. Like anyone, and the problem is people make decisions about coverage and all sorts of things. It's just not good. And then Dan brought up the black vote in particular. I mean, Milwaukee County, where Crowley is the executive, this was big. It went up, and that's what did it. I mean, there's a million takeaways from this race. I think Hong peaked too soon. Republicans got giddy a little too soon, myself included. But just remember these two lessons going forward, because I also think that, like, let's just remember, David Crowley didn't crush this. He won by 0.1. And so this is not some big win. But I hate to say this. I love doing the show because we're the only ones that actually, everybody else this morning is having this wildly unintelligent conversation about what happened yesterday. We've been talking about why this was, what to watch for. And if you're going to, in the next 80 days, if you're a political junkie, this show gives you insight like no one else. And I love doing it because we all offer something unique. And last night was the perfect example. If we go back, roll the tape, what should we watch for? We nailed it.
The fascinating thing to me, Dan, is that I have always, and I know you've disagreed with me when I've said this before, but I always feel like Democrats, when they're voting in primaries, are going for the candidate that pulls at their heartstrings, right? It's the super progressives that are elevated right now, less so focused on the electability question. And this, is a clear example where the electability concern, is the thing that stopped her, right? The Democratic Socialist, right? I mean, it was the not only establishment Democrats, but even some progressives who had this sort of call for hello, come to earth, guys. This woman cannot win, so we cannot support her. What are your takeaways, at least from the gubernatorial election there?
I don't know if it's electability. I think what it is, and we saw it in Michigan, and actually I think it's going to get to our second topic about defining El-Said. Our party wants younger, bolder, and tougher. They don't want woke 2.0. They don't want all this kind of crazy culture stuff. And I think that, when El-Said, I'll just mention him for a minute, was talking about Israel and ICE, right? He surged. When Hong all the stuff started coming out about, canceling Thanksgiving and abolishing prisons and defunding the police, all of this kind of crazy stuff, she got on her heels. And Sean just mentioned it, and I've said to watch for it. The Black community historically has not gone for this stuff, right? It's bread and butter. What are you doing for my job? What are you doing to kind of, in my neighborhood? Go back to 2020 when the woke 1.0 took off. Where did we underperform massively? Latino working class voters in Nevada and we underperformed. House candidates lost. And they said in after action analysis, woke 1.0 was crazy. And so I think the nuance now that everyone has to think about for both, can you unify El-Said? Again, we're going to talk about him in a second. And for 2028 is they don't want crazy woke 2.0, but they do want you tougher, fresher, and bolder. And that creates openings for certain candidates who are going to try to thread that needle.
Yeah. Question for you, Sean. I mean, with Peggy Flanagan winning, she beat Angie Craig in the race for the Senate, to be the Democrat Senate nominee. She was the number 2 person in that state during a lot of the fraud issues.
Yes.
I mean, it's hard for me to see that state being actually competitive for Republicans, but I'm just curious, like, we don't think Republicans will actually spend money there now, or what do you make of that, and her being the nominee?
So look, I had Michelle Tafoya on the show last night. She became the nominee officially last night. She's raised more money than any Republican statewide, was one of the stats she threw out. I think Peggy Flanagan was the one that Republicans wanted in the state. She's very flawed, very DSA-esque, whatever the official term is. She can get tied to the fraud, and she gets tied at the hip to Tim Walz. Look, when you look at Minnesota and Wisconsin's very similar demographically. If you go just do a heat map, Minnesota is all red except for the Twin Cities. Wisconsin, same thing, Milwaukee, and then Madison, right? So the issue is, can you run up the score and everywhere else, get them motivated and kind of try to keep the, play to your losses in the Twin Cities in Minnesota? I think Tafoya's got the money. She said that she has talked to Tim Scott at the NRSC, that they're right. This is one, each side going into the final 3 months. Like, we can talk about this later with what the Dems have. I mean, they've talked about Kansas, Nebraska, Florida. I'll give you my take on that at some point. But like, each side pulls through 2 or 3 races that they're going to start to look at and say, all right, let's keep an eye on that one. Minnesota is ours. I think the question's going to be, Michelle Tafoya's got name ID. She's been not just the NFL woman that people saw on Monday and Sunday Night Football, but she's been a radio host for years in Minnesota. So this is a race that I think people are going to keep an eye on because of Michelle, how much money she's raised, and how flawed Peggy Flanagan is. So we have the right recipe. I'm not sure that we have the right political environment.
And that's the key, because you mentioned fraud, Rachel, which was not on the Democratic side. They think this is a total weaponization Trump witch hunt. What was the issue in that race, bar none, was immigration and the response to what happened, obviously, in Minneapolis.
Right.
And where Craig got dinged was previous statements in support of and votes to fund ICE. And it was just an albatross that she could not get out of.
Right.
And so I think in the general, if you go back, Tafoya fumbled a little bit on that issue, right? It's an uncomfortable issue for her. It creates separation with Trump. And obviously, Sean just talked about, Trump came really close in 16 and 24, but he did come up short. So if you're Tafoya, you got to go beyond that, what he did and keep all of his people. It's hard for me to see that fraud will be the issue in Minnesota.
No. Right.
It's going to be more immigration and Trump. For those reasons, I think Flanagan wins, but I think Tafoya will do better than most candidates would have done.
Yeah. So there's 2 other X factors there. One, Michelle Tafoya has been very outspoken on keeping women in the biological women in women's sports. Very outspoken. Peggy Flanagan, very woke. And this is another issue that, again, when you talk about an issue, as I just mentioned, how that state's divided, you could make, whether it's Edina or some of these suburban Minneapolis cities, where that could be a female wedge issue. 2 females going at it, one standing up, one coming about women's sports. That could be a wedge issue there. The other problem, though, again, to give you why I think we could do well, and then here's the flip side. I don't know that we feel as confident about the top of the ticket, right? And so you've got Amy Klobuchar running for governor, who's going to be very strong, I think very, very favored to win. And the get out the vote, the GOP effort is generally driven by the gubernatorial candidate. Right. And so Michelle Tafoya yesterday was very quick to point out how she's really focusing on get out the vote, which is great. But there's a reality that's generally not what Senate candidates have to do or do. And so she's having to do something that traditionally is done by the gubernatorial candidate, which is just one more burden.
Yeah. Let's talk more about the GOP side. Go to South Carolina. Darlene Graham and Ralph Norman are going to be advancing to the runoff there. It's shaping up to be a proxy war between the president.
Can I make 2 comments about, I do think the Connecticut thing is big. The idea that Larson got whacked. I also think the Republican reaction to Crowley is going to be interesting. I mean, he's not a moderate. I mean, he's less nuts than Francesca Hong. But I wonder, I'll be interested to see how the RGA reacts to David Crowley. Does Tom Tiffany still become like if Hong won, Tom Tiffany would have been, everybody could have gotten what they wanted to. Like, it would have been like a big party. I don't know that they're going to react the same way with Crowley. I think that that's going to be something to watch for, how the RGA specifically reacts to the fox that's behind Dan.
Yeah, Lucy just joined us here. Well, but conversely, Sean, for Crowley, the beauty is every 2028er and every person in the party is going to now go, because a black governor in Wisconsin is huge. What has always been the issue for us? Black turnout in Milwaukee, right? When that is, 90%, we don't do as well. And it's 92, we tend to do well, right? The margins are that tiny in that state, which has always been really close. So the entire cavalry is going to come now.
Well, and that's a smart. We talked, Dan, last week or whatever, about why it's important to have a governor, right?
Yep.
What difference that makes. You're absolutely right. I mean, if you look at how close Wisconsin has been the last 3 cycles in particular, if you are thinking about 2020 on the Republican side, if you're JD Vance, I'd go campaign with Tom Tiffany right now, because a victory for you there puts Wisconsin in a play in a way that maybe it's not. If David Crowley wins, maybe he only adds 0.2 of a point, 0.3 of a point in terms of getting that black organization out for a candidate. But that's what all you need right now. So I would say that if I were JD Vance, I would start going to Wisconsin
and in a Democratic primary, black governor from Milwaukee in your corner is huge. So just watch everybody start showing up and putting on cheese hats, and they're all Packers fans now.
All right, let's go.
Are they Vikings fans?
Let's go GOP side. South Carolina, Darlene Graham, Ralph Norman advancing to the runoff here. This is going to be a proxy war between the president, who won the state by how many? Let me see, 20 points. I mean, he won the state by 20 points during the primary in 2024 against Haley. But a proxy war between him and Haley, who's backed Ralph Norman. The question, of course, is who consolidates those votes that went to other candidates. Sean, I'm curious what you make of this. I mean, Haley, she's obviously popular in South Carolina, but Trump is more popular, right?
Is she?
I'm serious.
So look, can I just say this? If you had said to me, here's the situation, this candidate got X, this candidate got Y, what do you think? I would be going with the Y candidate, which would be Ralph Norman. If all things were being equal, Darlene Graham should have gotten more than 33%. It's just, based on everything she had going in her favor, that's not a good sign for her, okay? But what you just described is a huge advantage for her, because we all wondered if President Trump would do what he did in the gubernatorial race with Pam Abbott and Alan Wilson, which was, I'm going to double endorse. He had endorsed Pam Abbott in the sort of first phase of the gubernatorial, then he double endorsed. I don't think that he can endorse Ralph Norman because Nikki Haley and her PAC have already gotten so openly behind him. So the thing that is interesting here is this Haley dynamic changes the race in a way that wouldn't have happened if this was Russell Fry or Mark Lynch. I think that if in any other circumstance, I would say that it's Darlene Graham is not in a good place, because she was de facto the incumbent, and she got 33%. That's not a good sign. But because she's going up against the Nikki Haley person, everybody in Trump world is going to want to make sure that they
make a point out of this.
This is now like, okay, we got to go all in for her. So I do think it's going to be a lot closer than it should be. I wouldn't count him out, but I will say that because Nikki Haley is behind him, they have to make it an issue.
Will Trump go campaign for her now because he hates Haley so much?
I think that it's a good question, because she got asked that last night, Dan, and she made some comment like, "Well, I hope he would," or something. You haven't really seen it. Well, I don't know. I think he might, because it's Haley, but I also think this is where the polling's going to matter. Like, they're going to want to see something. I stand by my comment that polling sucks, but they're not going to want to get down there if the president thinks he's going to be embarrassed.
Yeah, he's got to protect that endorsement, especially after.
Right, and the other thing is, look, Ralph Norman may be a Haley buddy, but he's not. He is a Trump supporter. So there's, this is not a situation where you're getting some TDS kind of guy. He's a Trump supporter who has a good relationship with Nikki Haley.
All right, now let me ask you this then, both you guys. Let's say Trump doesn't go, but Haley's for the other person. J.D. Vance, Ted Cruz, Ron DeSantis, and Josh Hawley. Does anybody go and help Darlene Graham? It is South Carolina. You would be doing the president a solid and sticking it to Nikki Haley. Does anyone else thinking of 28 on the R side, Sean, show up on the ground to help Darlene Graham?
I would think Ted Cruz has a good relationship with Ralph Norman.
So too.
I think so. I think some of these people have good relationships with Ralph Norman. So,
but again,
I don't know about
this
JD.
is about
JD,
currying
no
favor
idea.
with the king.
But
all right, I'll be curious.
Last final thoughts on Mike Lindell. We have to talk about Mike Lindell.
Where's my pillow?
I mean, did the president really think he could win, Sean? Or was this just like, I got to do a buddy a solid?
I think the first one first, he definitely wanted to help a guy who's been with him by his side.
Sure.
Yeah.
And I'm sure he got shown data. But I mean, that was a whooping. And Mike Lindell, by the way,
he's
also
had Trump so much. Like,
well, that's what I mean, though. That's why I said first things first.
Agree.
Like this was a payback for, hey, you've been loyal to me,
right?
And a big supporter. I think that's the right call,
which President Trump doesn't often do.
No,
frankly.
right?
But
and that's why I'm saying
millions advocating for on the 2020 stuff. Like, in all seriousness, I mean, he ran through the brick wall 50 times for Trump. Still does. I'm sure he appreciates that.
All right. Any final thoughts? We'll go to El Said next. No?
Sean, your neighborhood, Republican governor's race, you're our Democrat in Rhode Island here.
Oh, so I'm going to tell you this.
Because not just Larson, there were other Connecticut kind of lions who lost on the state level, in the state house and stuff. And everyone's looking now across the border, Sean. Your governor going down in the primary?
100%. I mean, he's gone. They've told him to stop putting up holes in the wall. I mean, look, I'm going to just tell you this right now on the Rhode Island front. Rhode Island's a very quirky state because it's so small. Helena Foulkes, who is a former CVS executive, is not. She is very progressive on a lot of stuff. But Rhode Island is. I mean, like, we've had bridges collapse, all sorts of shady deals. McKee made deals with the unions. This is a glorified student council race in Rhode Island. I mean, it really is. Everybody knows everybody. McKee is just literally, I coined this phrase. I'm going to tell you, the state motto in Rhode Island is you either work for the state or out of state. And Dan McKee has put that on steroids. He has done everything he can to make Rhode Island the worst place in the world to do business. And that says a lot. And Helena Foulkes has capitalized on this. And I will tell you from obviously a lot of people I know in Rhode Island are Democrats who have said, we're going all in with her. I mean, McKee has been an absolute and utter disaster as governor, and longtime Democrats have but this is not, don't read anything about progressive. This is all parochial. This is a big mayor's race. Okay. I mean, like, there is a bridge that collapsed and they couldn't even find people to bid on fixing it because it was so bad. I mean, like, so corrupt of a process. Anyway, that's the one I actually watch. Is I go a little bit
Markey?
Well, the Markey race. I'm trying to think of where Massachusetts touches Connecticut. Yeah. And if you're looking at Connecticut, probably just do east or northeast. The Markey-Moulton race, I think, is going to be fascinating. I still think this is, again, I think Moulton is a current congressman. So it's not the same.
Yep.
Yeah, but it doesn't have. He is, but he's like he's not playing up the vet thing as much. I see a lot of the ads, obviously, and get a lot of the news. So it's just don't read those two races. Do not read too much into. They're very parochial. Ed Markey's got a lot of old school Democratic support. I think the Moulton has made a complete fool of himself. He's not trying to make that. Like he looks like a child. Throwing rocks at an adult.
Well, like Markey co-authored the Green New Deal. He's got Sanders.
Right, that's what I'm saying. Like, that's why neither of these two races I would read into the current narrative. What's going on? They're very, very parochial and very different.
All right, let's keep going. We still got 4 more topics here. In case you haven't seen it, there has been a torrent of negative headlines about the Democratic Senate nominee in Michigan,
K-file.
El Said. Yep. basically diving into past statements. Dan, you in our text messages, you called this the Tallarikification, a reference to what Republicans have done to James Tallarico in Texas in terms of trying to define him.
Yep.
Yes, we'll get to that. Trying to define him by these past statements. Here's just a few examples here. CNN's K-File, as you mentioned, Dan, he did some sleuthing, found that El Sayed scrubbed past videos of himself saying fireworks sucks. Who hates fireworks?
That's apple pie.
Anyway,
Come on.
Fireworks suck, and pushed getting rid of the Second Amendment right to bear arms and instead replacing it with a right to healthcare. There's another detail that says he suggested football has an ethics issue and is harbored in an ethos, I'm putting parentheses on ethos, used to justify slavery and westward expansion. I don't know how you get to that.
I don't even know how that makes sense, but continue.
Okay, I'll leave it there.
Yep,
And then one more from the Free Beacon, conservative outlet. In 2009, he proclaimed he had an, quote, obligation to follow Sharia law for his whole life. Dan, I mean, like we said, like you've noted, that you feel the attacks on Tallarico in Texas have not worked, at least from the polling, and who knows about the polling, right? But Republicans are increasingly nervous about Texas. That is true. How much do these attacks worry you?
Well, they worry me because I look at the dynamic, the dynamic of who these are appealing to, right? The white working class voters, even potentially some black working class voters that went with Stevens, for whom some of these cultural things are like, you're different, right? You're they, them, not me. What to me is so surprising is two things. One, for a guy who was, thumped his chest out talking about taking out Fetterman and playing a role in 28 and thought he had a 10-point lead, he seems totally unprepared for all of this. So one, I get it if you thought it was going to be super close and you need a week or two to kind of do, you won, now you're doing your research, you're maybe changing a few staffers out, you're kind of like finalizing your general election game plan. He seemed pretty confident he was going to win for weeks out. And this seems to be they are on a back foot. The second thing, which is related, is there's no cavalry coming to his defense. I think the moderate wing, Haley Stevens was on Fox News yesterday. They asked if she was going to endorse, which you knew is coming. She did not say yes. You don't see the Clintons out there. Obama called them, but isn't, saying anything. You don't see Senate Majority PAC up on air trying to, kind of define El Sayed on our terms. So he is flapping in the wind a little, which is what happened to Tallarico, right? All this came down and everyone in D.C. was like, whoa, okay, how are we handling this? Good luck, pal. Now, for him, the good news is the numbers haven't really moved. For El Sayed, the danger zone is if the polls come out and you're down 5 or 6 points, this feeds the narrative of this guy's done, right? I'm not going to bother kind of touching a loser. So it's a chicken or the egg. He has got to show some fight and get back on a front foot fast.
Sean, how potent?
The funny thing is, again, this gets back to sometimes the narrative that some people like. I think that like hitting how you hit somebody matters. Yep. And what message, right? In New Jersey, in Virginia last cycle, I think we learned a lot of lessons about what works and what moves voters. And the Jay Jones stuff fell flat. We thought we had him dead to rights when apparently when you want to kill your opponent and their kids, that's not a big deal.
Right.
Democrats. And I think what moves people, and the thing about Tallarico, what plays in Texas and what plays in Michigan are not going to be the same. And what moves people, I think the Sharia law thing, as much as it offends everyone at CNN, does scare people. Sure. It does make people worry about, oh my God, this guy's a radical. And especially remember, one of the things that we're going to get injected into the dialogue within the next month is the 25th anniversary of 9/11. Yep. And suddenly you're going to tie that guy and his beliefs and everything he said to 9/11, and you're going to get a freebie on that because that's just going to happen. People are going to talk about it and they're going to tie him. So I think that this is a smart play in Michigan. It blows me away when I flip around to CNN how many, like, they're doing backflips to say it's offensive to use his full name and to make, like, welcome to politics. But I think that's like an interesting thing. There is something there that's definitely showing in the numbers that it's moving. And my guess is that the super PACs in particular have polled this very extensively about what moves the right segment of numbers. We've mentioned before the circumstance in Milwaukee and Wisconsin. I think there's a similar one here. You don't need to win by a lot. You don't need to move a ton. If they can get a bunch of people in Dearborn to get pissed off and say, I can't vote for this guy, like I'll go vote for the governor and then skip the Senate race, that matters. And that may be the strategy.
Well, and that's the thing. We don't know. It may be like Texas, it doesn't work. But I see, some people kind of saying how kind of gross this is. Folks, there's a reason Barack Obama sat with Monday Night Football, was seen shooting baskets, right? He knew this was an issue for him. Guy with a funny name who's black, that he had to get people comfortable with him, that he was kind of an American, that he was like you, that he may look and sound a little funny, but he is just like you. And that's why the Obama campaign put so much time and effort into putting him in those situations where people could say, yeah, all right, remember when he did the Monday night opening for the Chicago Bears and talked about his love for Michael Jordan and how he would go to Bulls games and he was a White Sox fan. That didn't happen by accident. That was all part. So for El Said, these attacks, they may work. It may be a different time and place, and people just say, I don't care. Iran's a disaster and, whatever. We'll find out.
Let's go to California next. We got three more segments here, but before we do, just a note about Cozy Earth.
Yep.
Excited to take my trip next week. I don't know if you guys are going to be traveling, but Dan, you've mentioned you don't have Cozy Earth sheets at the place you are staying for the summer, right?
Sheets, comfort, not duvet. Yep.
Not yet. Okay, so that's the one thing I'm dreading. I have gotten so used to my Cozy Earth sheets. Those feel so super butter soft, cool to touch. They are far and away incredible. I have mentioned before, when I'm sick and I'm coughing and I have to sleep in a guest room because I don't want to wake my husband up, like the sheets feel like paper when you go back to regular cotton. One thing I'm not looking forward to, leaving behind my Cozy Earth sheets. Maybe I'll actually pack them and take them with me. I don't know. I'm probably not going to go that far.
Yep. Or just get some new ones sent wherever you're going. If you're going to be in one place, just have, set it and forget it. They'll be there when you get there.
It's not a bad idea, Dan. Not a bad idea. Great sheets, great joggers. I have not worn the joggers, but my husband loves them. Dan and Sean love them. Pajamas, great. I can definitely endorse the pajamas. I now have 4 pairs of Cozy Earth pajamas.
Nice.
And I'm looking forward to upgrading for the fall. Not quite there yet, but for the fall to get the warmer, heavier set of pajamas and heavier set sheets. Anyway, go to CozyEarth.com. Check out everything they have. It's just great stuff. This is not us just BSing you because they're a sponsor here. Their stuff is literally awesome. It feels so good to touch, super comfortable. CozyEarth.com/huddle. Use our code HUDDLE for 20% off. CozyEarth.com/huddle. Use our code HUDDLE for 20% off. And while you're at it, maybe you want to go order some steaks, pork chops. I highly recommend the pork chops. Dan, how's it going with the package you've received? Have you?
Well, no. So that I think it went to New York City, but I am actually going to order. We are going to do it ourselves to have it delivered to where we are for through Labor Day here. Because I've said this with 4 teenage boys, we go through a lot of red meat, and they love themselves some steak. They love burgers. They love hot dogs. Now that I'm getting to be almost 50 and have a cardiologist, I will not have a hot dog, but they are amazing. Like, I do love them. I would eat them every day if I could.
I'll have the ones you don't. If you get the variety pack, let me know. Let me know. I'll take the ones from the variety pack.
And I literally, this is not a joke. I was walking with my wife and her parents who are visiting last night, and we were talking about Omaha steaks, and we were talking about red meat, and I said, but they not just red meat. They also have pork chops and other things, and they were very excited. So we will
chicken.
We will be having Omaha Steaks, various proteins, I'll put it that way, coming up. Go to omahasteaks.com. We always say it comes packaged, sealed, it's fresh. The quality is fantastic. If you didn't see Sean's photo, Rachel and I were just getting hungry yesterday morning. I don't often crave steak at 9 a.m., but when I saw Sean's photo, I was like, God, I want that now. So go to omahasteaks.com. Use the code HUDDLE for great savings.
Good stuff. All right, let's go to California. Gavin Newsom just wrapped up a swing to early nominating state of Michigan.
Wow.
Visited a black church in Detroit, did the party's annual barbecue, raised $175,000 small dollars for the party out there, and then stopped at other sort of local staples like the Henry Ford Museum. Good call on that. But
it's a good museum.
On the ground, I actually have never been, although I'm sure it's great. On the ground, however, it's apparently not playing well. Debbie Dingell, who is the matriarch of Michigan, hands down, like no questions asked.
She is her deceased husband, John Dingell, was the dean of Michigan. He was the godfather. 40 years in Congress.
The matriarch. She told Playbook that she didn't hear from him at all when he was on the ground. Virgie Rollins, who's this influential chair of the DNC's Black Caucus, apparently didn't hear from him at all, and told.
By the way, Dingell dinged him. By the way, and said probably because I'm a car girl.
Yeah. I'm a car girl. Yeah.
Which and if you get the joke, which took me a second to realize that Gavin Newsom has introduced cafe standards that would severely hurt Detroit automakers. So it was a double ding from Dingell. Double ding, Dingell.
Continue.
And Roland says that every Democratic president who's ever won election has been in her home, and that no, Newsom didn't call when he was out. He tried to get some time with Sean Fain at the UAW, but wasn't able to. And then again, according to Playbook, interviews with more than half dozen Michigan Democrats speaking anonymously, raised questions about the coastal leader's resonance in the middle of the country. Dan, part of this just feels like basic staff work. I mean, when the stakes are this high, and I know it's early, but visiting an early state, you want to run for president in 2028. Like, how do you not do the homework, the legwork, to make sure that when you're actually visiting, you are not insulting the people that you're trying to woo?
100%. No, I mean, there's three things I'll say. As I said in the opening, one, this story, somebody fed it to Adam Wren, right?
Yeah, clearly.
We said on, I think it was Thursday, when the Newsom people put out this like robust trip, we were like, wow, great legwork. He's hitting black churches. He's going to do one of the things that Adam Wren's story today says too is his fundraiser with the attorney general candidate was canceled at the last second because the Newsom people suddenly found out about one of the guests who they were not comfortable with Gavin Newsom being seen with. Total disaster, right?
It wasn't unknown. They were like a co-host of the event. I mean, like, so. Well,
but the Newsom people claim. Okay, so one, they put their chest out of like, look at us, right? We put this whole schedule together. But the basics of notifying local power players, going to see them. Again, Debbie Dingell, not just any congresswoman, right?
Right.
She is like one of the most, and just to be really candid, she loves the press. She's super chatty. Like, that's just one of those where, if you offend her, you're asking for a story. And then the second part is what you just said. Yeah. This was an establishment ambush to say, you don't really fit here.
Yeah.
And the problem, I've said this now for the last couple months, is Gavin Newsom had the best 2025 of any Democrat who wanted to run for president. Shot to the top of the polls. He was the face of the resistance and the trolling of Trump and everything. He has really struggled. Increasingly, when I look at 28, he is a man without a lane, right? Is he the progressives? He's not the Bernie Sanders candidate, right? Not going to happen. He's not the moderate candidates because I've asked this. Is John Ossoff going to ask to be seen with Gavin Newsom, come down to Georgia, Roy Cooper in North Carolina? If let's say Haley Stevens in Michigan or our gubernatorial candidate, they don't necessarily want to be seen with the guy because he is a coastal person. And so the problem if you're Newsom now is you just got ambushed in a big state, right? So now you're going to have to battle this. You're not seen as a moderate. You're not seen as a progressive. And other than trolling Trump last year, you can't find traction on any issue. And that, to me, is you got to reverse this heading into November because very, very soon we're going to get past this. And everyone, Pete Buttigieg is doing his thing. And Harris has, black women. We can all roll our eyes about it. But people have cases to make. I don't see his case right now.
Can I just play devil's advocate here? Because there's a line at the end of this piece, and maybe this is, the spin from the Newsom camp. Perhaps this guy's so in demand that he just can't reach everyone at this moment. BS sounds like.
I would never
Like that this
ever.
could actually be a good sign for him because everybody wants to talk to him. I agree.
Yeah, but
with
here's
that.
the problem, Rachel. I can't think of a worse message to say to people on the ground in a early state.
Yeah, dude,
I'm so in demand. I don't have time for you little people.
You.
Like that is
Totally
man.
agree. And it wasn't attributed to anyone. It was just kind of like, oh, perhaps it's a good thing. You know,
no,
it's not. I mean,
it's not. I agree. I don't think it is.
Yeah, it's
so.
I also have a guess on who did this.
Wait, hold on. Then say it.
Yeah, I think there's a certain campaign that these candidates, that some of those people like.
Just like Pete Buttigieg?
I think it might be a governor.
Fake native son. Look, the thing that I thought was interesting, Dan put his finger on it. If I was, I'd be willing to give Newsom, like, you know, when you talk about staff work, he's got a political team that's probably a handful.
Pretty good.
Like, right. But you've got a lot of states. They just moved Michigan up. I'd give you a little bit of grace if you overlooked the woman who's the head, you know, that says I want him in my house, because that's getting someone in the that's a logistical hurdle. Like, we're here, we want to get you over there, but we can't get you in the house, whatever. The Dingle thing to me was the bigger, like, I think both are bad, because this woman's a player. The woman who leads the DNC Black Coalition, like, is a player. And to that would have been worth a phone call. Hey, I definitely got you on my radar. I want to come visit with you. Obviously, I'm going to be in, you know, wherever, and I can't make it to you, but I want to make sure I talk to you. I want to, you know, blah, blah, blah. To not call Dingle, though, to Dan's point, she has all these media connections. It was like, and then where I lost my grace was they bragged about the schedule. Yeah. So if you're going to tout that you're really good, like, look at us and all of our events, and then Dingle's like, and you missed that one, and you missed that one. I mean, I remember when I was a kid and I'd go out and be like, Dad, I cut the lawn. And he'd come out and say, you missed that whole area. You missed that whole area. And it was like, you got ahead of you got over your skis.
You got ambushed.
And I think he just thought that he was bragging, and they were like, all right, we'll take you down a notch.
Yep. I think other candidates. Yeah. So anyway, you want to know what the shadow wars look like in 2 years out? This is it.
Good stuff. It's really good stuff. Okay, let's go to Netanyahu and the president. We did not talk about this earlier this week, but Bibi rejected President Trump's 15-point peace plan for Gaza. He called the plan unacceptable, said they wouldn't withdraw troops from Gaza until Hamas is basically, you know, no more. There is a concern, of course, about what this means for the Board of Peace. Can they really usher in a new chapter in the region, et cetera, et cetera? But the president, the interesting thing about this is the president, he hasn't really weighed in. Like, he's been sort of uncharacteristically silent about it. And this break with Bibi, and the White House right now is downplaying their pushback on this, saying, look, they can give him space. They understand the politics on the ground. At the same time, though, Sean, like, this was something he probably, like, this is a feather he wanted in his cap, right? To be able to say, I helped solve, you know, Middle East peace. Now, whether you believe that was actually possible, I guess, is another question. But, like, does he continue to stay, I don't want to say silent, but not take shots at Bibi over this?
I'm sort of conflicted whether they want to go in that route or they just don't want to talk about any foreign policy.
Okay.
Like, I would, if I were them, like, what's the good of, I have a problem with this, or all you're doing is injecting an issue that has nothing to do with what anybody cares about. That, I mean, I'm not trying to minimize the issue, but you get what I'm saying. 84 days out from a midterm, being like, hey, I want to talk about my issues with my Gaza plan and differences with Bibi is not a winner. So I think they're playing this really well, which is just like, Bibi who? Like,
what
this is not like, well, yeah. Also, like, even if Bibi signed off on the plan and said, I'm with you on all 15 points, it doesn't win you anything right now. So to be honest with you, I think they're playing this one perfect. They you know, as he likes to say now, we're low keying it.
Low keying it.
So I actually give them credit for how they're handling this, because it's a non-political winner.
Dan, you flag
And
this
and
stuff.
I know, by the way, I'm seeing people in the chat saying, I care. I'm not saying that you don't care. No one cares. I'm saying it doesn't. If you love what the president's doing this, you're already with him. If you hate what he's doing, like, it doesn't get him anything. We need to move the needle in the last 80 days. This doesn't do it.
I think yes and no, which is Sean's right. Domestically for November, this is not. No one in debate is going to be like, you Republicans are terrible on the Gaza peace plan. I think the reason that I kind of flagged this because
I hope they are.
where the dominoes kind of do potentially hit here is there are a lot of stories that the Arab countries are really angry about what Israel is doing with Gaza still. And part of the condition for them playing ball with us and helping us for Iran is he was kind of trying to get Netanyahu out of Gaza and to rebuild it and to have kind of some Arabs partly in control of it. And they could go to the kind of on the street of their own countries and say, well, okay, yes, what's happening in Iran is terrible, but look, we're working with them to solve Gaza. If Netanyahu thumbs his nose at Trump and says, I'm not going to listen to you anymore on this, we're doing what we're doing, and Trump looks kind of impotent that he can't stop it, then they say, well, we have a problem on the street at home on Gaza. We really can't be with you on Iran. So we're going to go, negotiate a toll for the strait with Iran and leave you hanging. In the long run, this is a problem. And I think it's just worth flagging that they all are kind of tied. And Trump's got a problem.
Let's quickly go to California, and then we'll take some questions. So
Yeah.
Paramount is warning, excuse me, that it might leave California, state of California, over this antitrust fight over taking over Warner Brothers. The company's top lawyer declined to rule it out. I mean, like, I'm looking at this and I'm like, this is kind of like capitalism one-on-one, right? Like, companies have a duty, like a fiduciary duty, right, to their shareholders. And like, if a state's going to give them grief and give them problems, so it's kind of like what's happening in New York, right, with taxes, you get out. Like, it's not rocket science. Dan, like, you flagged this. Why don't you start?
Yeah, I mean, look, it goes to a little bit of the Newsom issue. We were texting a little bit the last few days. There have been stories about Mandani's kind of rough time. There's a lawsuit that was filed, and a judge, said that the pied-à-terre tax had to be halted. Now, I think in the long run, it'll be overturned. But no doubt Mandani's fumbled it. And there are more kind of wealthy people leaving New York, and that, of course, hits the tax base. To me, this would be like J.P. Morgan leaving New York, right? I mean, Paramount is a longtime Hollywood player. There's the famous water tower with Paramount on it that's maybe next to the Hollywood sign, one of the most iconic kind of Los Angeles, Hollywood images. If that moves to Texas, you already have the Silicon Valley companies, their executives moving to Florida. Elon's moved several things to Texas. I think Oracle moved to either Tennessee or Texas. I just think at some point, we've talked about J.B. Pritzker. He's going to have to deal with the fact that businesses have left Illinois to go to other places. We're talking about wealthy leaving New York. For the Democratic Party, and for Newsom and people like Kamala Harris, this could be a seminal moment, right? Which is, there is a fiduciary. You can't continue to do this, to be this anti-business. You just can't.
I get it, but the problem is, I agree. I mean, like, to me, this is like 101. Like, we saw what happened in New York. Kathy Hochul told people to leave. They left, and then they were like, hey, we need your money. Businesses are even a bigger issue. I just talked to you about Rhode Island. I mean, my God, like, literally every, like, major corporation is like, we're out of here. This place sucks to do business. The problem is that your base loves that message. I mean, Mandami's not backing down on this pied-à-terre tax, and like, companies are saying, great, we'll leave. They are more mobile than they've ever been in history. The ability of a company to say, great, we're going to Austin, to Texas, we're going to Montana, we're going to Florida. It's just, I think the problem is there's just this whole conflict between where the base of the party is and reality. But I don't even know why this was a leak out of the Ellison conference. Like, this should just be like, hey, we have to make a decision. I actually think, to your point, I don't know if it's a fiduciary thing or not. I just think it makes good business sense to get the hell out of California as soon as possible.
I mean, I'm sure there's a bunch of other policies they hate in California.
Right, but I mean, if it's not, but if it's
100%.
not today, it's tomorrow, it's next week,
Right.
it's next month. The train is going down the track, and so I would get out sooner rather than later. But the idea that like the AG there, Bonetta, is trying to hold hostage a deal, I would say, great, we're out.
Yeah, peace
See
out.
you later.
And one of the few things that held a lot of these companies, the entertainment companies, was the talent was all in the Los Angeles area. Well, now you have Hollywood stars moving to Texas, moving to other places. Some of it's the crime, quality of life, the cost of living there. Real estate is, ungodly expensive in the Los Angeles area. With the talent gone, now you do say to your shareholders and your board, why are we here? I mean, other than the physical footprint we have to rebuild, but in the long run, we'll save it in 1 year of taxes. So anyway.
Traffic sucks. I mean, everything about, look at, I will say this, California is stunningly beautiful.
Yep, agreed.
But it's the policies, the traffic, everything about it is just the taxes. It's insane. The crime and like, I mean, I just going around LA and San Diego is disgusting. It smells. I don't like,
other than that,
for all those reasons, I'm out.
Yeah. I mean, I definitely took this as like, we are opening bids for your state.
Sure.
Come talk to us. Like planting the flag in the ground.
I have I would love to see it. Now the problem is but I do think that between Governor Abbott and Governor DeSantis, I would like Abbott, I think it's a much easier trek to Texas from California. You got a lot more land to play with. I think it's a lot harder to make the case in Florida, but not that they can't, but I'm just saying, like, I think from Texas, like the commute to Dallas from like LA. Anyway,
I also think culture issue. You'd have to assure them that you wouldn't go full throttle on cultural issues too, because that they do worry. I mean, Texas is a little more libertarian, cowboy, stay out of my business. Florida is more front foot of whack-a-mole.
Well, and you got a new governor coming in. It's not.
And who knows what will change, right?
Yep.
So, okay, let's take some questions. All right, Republican lady, question: are you surprised that Trump seems to have made so few dramatic firings, despite the fact that the Supreme Court gave him wide latitude to lay off as he chooses? Why stop at Lisa Cook?
Well,
I don't know that he has stopped. I think that
quiet.
Right. It's been a lot quieter. I think when you look at a lot of these departments, one untold story is the physical footprint of federal employees is significantly smaller. And that's supervisory folks across all agencies. I just think that they're actually been a lot more strategic about it than the loud, boisterous one-off firing. So it's a very untold story about how the smaller the federal government full-time employee is now than it was a year ago.
I totally agree with Sean. I think one of the interesting things that's going to come out either now or in the future is just what these agencies truly are like now. How short-staffed they are, how much they can't do. Maybe the public says, great, you guys shouldn't be doing this stuff, but they have taken a cleaver across agencies. Yep.
Let's take another one. Okay, let's say Mart O Drums 63808. Sean said, "quote We live in one of the rotten."
No, Sean, comma.
Saeed.
There should be
Saeed. Okay. I was gonna say, when did he ever say this? Sean, comma Saeed said,
"quote
We live in one of the most rotten countries that have ever existed on Earth, followed by Death to America chants filmed in Dearborn. Why isn't this being played?"
First of all, maybe it's because there's so many other crazy whack-a-mole things that he said. Two, I haven't seen those. Please put them in chat. Send them to contact at SeanSpicer.com.
NRSC.org.
Yeah. If you send them to contact at SeanSpicer.com, I'll get them on our show.
Oh no, everybody's gonna email you now.
But I just look. I think there's a lot. I have a feeling that you're going to see a lot more of this. And the last thing I'll say is this. One of the things that you have to remember in campaigns is when you go do these informed ballot on a poll, which is they say, if you knew the following, and then they read you some opposition research, would it make you more or less likely to vote for this person? And that's where they figure out what moves people.
Yep.
There are things that I like that because I think, well, that's a good hit, but I'm already voting for the Republican. Okay. So the question becomes when a pollster goes and looks at this, it's not, does it reinforce what you think? It's, does it move the people that we need to move? And sometimes there's things that we like that don't move the people that we need to. And people sometimes get upset and they go, that ad didn't speak to me or something. And it's like, well, that wasn't intended for you. You're already with us. So the hits are tested to see what moves those voters that you need to either get over to your side or away from your opponent, but they're not usually about you. If you're watching the show and you're a diehard Democrat, you're probably going to hate 50% of the ads, and the same thing with the Republican, because they're not meant for you. The people know where you are. They don't need to message to you. They're messaging to the people that are swayable.
And that's why I said those ads for the stuff that came out yesterday on El Said, you can see exactly who they're going to. Look, anytime you're talking about America being horrible, it is not a good place to be. I mean, I'm not being funny here. That is not, even Americans who are frustrated, most of them will say this is still the best country on earth. So.
Yeah. Okay, let's take one more. What? No, actually, we're at 9:30. Sean, what do you have coming up on your show?
Come on, it's Wednesday, hump day. Let's take a
Does that mean you want to do one more? Okay,
yeah.
Polls are now ridiculous and should no longer be given
You're
credit.
welcome, Sean.
There you go.
Yeah, stop giving them attention.
I mean, look, it on the Democratic side, in this part of in the Midwest, we continue to struggle. I mean, people had the Minnesota Senate race primary as a toss-up. She won by 20. Obviously, Hong, I think people thought the last week stuff might be moving, but nobody, few people thought she would lose. I think I heard grumblings that the trend lines were going not in a good direction. And then obviously Michigan was another miss of, 10 to 15 for El Said, and it was, 1. Polling's a tough business, but I'll keep saying this. Pollsters get paid for producing good polls. They have an incentive to try to fix this.
All right, Sean, what you have coming up?
Well, and one difference, just so you'll notice when I talk about this, I use the word public.
Public, yep.
There is a big difference between what crappy, cheap public polls are paid for by organizations, particularly media organizations, that aren't always, and not for the always nefarious reasons. They just don't use them for the same decisional reasons that campaigns do. So anyway, I just say that, but there sometimes the data and the polling, and those are two separate things, that a campaign uses are not what you're seeing. And that's why I keep using the word public polling is crap. So tonight, I'm going to start a series every Wednesday night, starting tonight, where we will go through every single race. This week, it's the House. Next Wednesday, it'll be the Senate. Then we'll go do the House again. But we're going through every race, some quicker for obvious reasons, where we will figure out who is up and who is down in the race for the majority. So we're starting this today. We'll do the House. Next week, we will do the Senate. But I did the road to 270 during the up to the lead up to the presidential, and it went over really well. So this is the updated version. I'd love feedback, but I'm going to tell you this right now, and I don't mean to sound like nobody else on the internet will do this. We're going to go through them. I'll tell you, here's the Republican, here's the Democrat, cash on hand. This is what they say. This is where it leans. We'll put it in a column. Kind of the way we do the matchup meter. We're going to go do it on every race in the House, and then we'll do every race in the Senate. We'll tell you where this comes down, and for the next 80-something days, you will get a view. So if you're tired of hearing pundits talk about and give platitudes to where this election is.
How big's your battleground for the House?
How many House races you got in the opening?
Thanks, Dan. Yeah.
So we're going to go, well, we've got them into categories. That's why I said, so we'll start with, these are all the solid, these are all the solid, these are the likely, and then we'll go through the toss-ups. So right now, tonight, we've got 18 toss-up seats in the House. Okay. I will give you, and then when we do the likelies on each side, I'm going to say this is the one that I think is most likely to fit. So you've got some ones on the likely category in each side that are worth watching.
Yep.
But then we'll go through the toss-ups and we'll give you a number at the end to tell you who's got 218 or not.
Okay.
Awesome. All right, everybody tune in. We'll be back tomorrow at 8:30. We'll see you then.